Everybody. I have a special guest for you. Thanks to my man Payout Time, I was able to get in touch with Squabosays. He is a Seahawks fan slash YouTuber, but he doesn't just cover the Seattle Seahawks. He's definitely got a broad stroke on his channel. Give him nothing but good juju and good vibes. He's going to school for what I wish I would have went to school for 20 years ago if it was available. So, Squabo says, if you want to kind of let people know what I'm exactly talking about, I'd appreciate it, and then we'll go from there.
Wow. Thank you so much for the beautiful intro, Aaron. It's great to finally meet you and be on your channel and to have this little, interdivision talk. My name is Squabosays. My real name is Noah Bolter, but my performance, my stage name, my acting name is Squabo. Squabosays. That's my YouTube channel. It's my Instagram. It's my TikTok, which I just started doing. So definitely go check that out. I do remakes of popular sports shots in NBA history today. And I'm going to do some football stuff too. So definitely tune into that. But what Aaron was talking about, I'm a student at Washington State University. I'm going to be the class of fall 2022. I'm a broadcast news major at the Edward R. Murrow College of Communications here. And I work at the student-run TV station. I'm the president and general manager of the student-run TV station here at Washington State University. And hopefully, after college, I'll have an opportunity to go and cover sports on television one day. So that's my goal. That's what I'm here for. And until then, I'm gonna keep talking sports on my YouTube channel and on my TikTok and on my Instagram, and with great guys like Aaron.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I it's a different era than when I was in my early 20s in the early 2000s. I'm 41 now, almost 42. Podcasting and a lot of that stuff just wasn't. It's just a different world we live in now. Like everybody likes to do content creating, whether it's YouTube, podcasting, whatever. And I see what you're doing, and I'm like, I'm rooting for you because in another lifetime, I would love to. I'm a little late in the game. I could always go to college for it, but it's definitely a young man's deal, and I'm rooting for you because it's exactly what I would have went to college for, which is communications and things of that nature. I hope to see you on Sports Center one day, or even if you're just a local guy that covers the Seattle Seahawks or whatever sport that you want to end up covering. I hope you make it because it's a great line of work to be in, man. And I always pull hard for young folks that have like dreams and aspirations and are like going for it. So mazel tov to you. I hope everything works out for you, man.
Thank you so much. My long-term goal, just so that you guys know, I'm trying to be on national television on some nice. Obviously like Skip and Shannon is the goal, but I'd love to do just anything national television where I'm talking sports on a daily basis with the best of them. That's my goal. And I appreciate the love for real. Like that doesn't go unnoticed and unappreciated.
Appreciate it, man. Now, how would you want to do this? Would you like to talk Seattle's off season and stuff first, or would you rather have me go first? How I would assume maybe I'll change it up this time since you're the guest, and maybe let you kind of enlighten me on stuff. Because as much as I follow somewhat other teams, I'm mainly a Niners guy. So like whoever the Seahawks drafted free agency, I don't pay attention to it like maybe I should. So yeah, enlighten me if you want, and then we'll just kind of spitball it from there.
Yeah. So, it's funny, in preparation for this stream, I didn't really do Seahawks homework because I'm always doing, I know my Seahawks. I can go on my Seahawks for the 24-hour live stream if you wanted to, just probably like you could do with your Niners. I did so much homework on the 49ers though. And I'm really excited to talk to you about both. But if you want to start with the Seahawks, what I will say heading into the season, and I think this is the most important thing surrounding our entire locker room, is the fact that we took Russell Wilson. And at the beginning of the offseason, there were so many rumors about how he might want out and how he might demand a trade or how he might want to go to this destination, this destination, this destination, and this location. And, we started to really, or a lot of people outside of Seattle mostly, really started to wonder, like, is Russell Wilson really going to leave Seattle? I was one of those people that said no. The reason that I said no was because in years past, whenever Russell Wilson has wanted something, whether it be more protection, whether it be, an all-star teammate or, whatever he's asked for in the past, we have followed through and got it done by making the Dwayne Brown trade, by making the Jamal Adams trade. Whatever Russell Wilson has wanted, whatever he has requested, Seattle has done. So at the beginning of the offseason, I thought, the Dan Patrick interview got taken a little bit out of proportion. And everyone was saying, it's starting to look sus between Russ and Seattle. But what Seattle did this offseason was everything Russ wanted and more. And if you've ever been in a relationship, and if you've ever watched my channel, you'll know I talk relationships a lot. So definitely be ready for that. But if things are rough in a relationship and you are trying to fix them, I'm going out and I'm doing every single thing 150% the way that my spouse wants, just to show them that I am really dedicated and really focused to this, and that you are my sole focus. I am not looking around at other people. So when Russell Wilson goes out and he's like, look, I need more protection, we go and we trade for Gabe Jackson, who gave up I don't have the stat in front of me. It was less than 3 sacks last year in over 1,000 snaps. He's just been tremendous. He goes and he's going to play our right guard this year. What about the right guard that we just drafted in the 3rd round last year? Well, now he gets to go play left guard next to Dwayne Brown and Ethan Posick. Ethan Posick's not an amazing name, but Dwayne Brown could help coach him up. So now we've retooled our entire offensive line by making this one move, because we're putting our new young player on the left side next to the veteran, and we have another rock on the opposite side of the offensive line to help us out on the right. So we've gotten that new protection. We went on and we get Shane Waldron, who obviously Russell Wilson's on the same page with. We're developing a short pass game because we got exposed in the last half of last season, especially in the playoffs. So now we're going to have a short passing game. It's going to be more versatile. We're taking from the Rams, who have beat us so many times and caused us so many troubles, even though you guys seem to have their number. So we're weird. It's very strange. It's like a love triangle.
Yeah.
But essentially, we did everything that Russell Wilson wanted and more, and because of that, I think it benefits us heading into the season.
My thing with the Seahawks is, you look sometimes at their roster. Of course, you got Tyler Lockett, you have DK Metcalf, you have is it Chris Carson at running back?
Mm-hmm.
And you got, if you have any, as long as you guys have Russ, you always have a chance. Like, sometimes I look at, and this is just from a 49ers fan perspective, so I don't know the inner workings, or at least, I'm not as familiar with players on the Seahawks defense. A lot of people say, Seattle's defense isn't really that great. And a lot of people say, if it wasn't for Russ, Seattle might. And I've even said that before. I feel like he's that much of a difference maker. And you're right. You need to do whatever you can and whatever it takes to make a guy like that happy. Hall of Fame quarterbacks, man, they don't grow on trees. So if you have one and you're able to keep him for his whole career, as much as you can with the contract that he has, that's always been like the talk. Is the problem when you have quarterbacks that eat up a lot of cap is teams can only do so much. So it's kind of one of those, it's like a double-edged sword. You want to keep the great quarterback and pay him what he's worth, but at the same time, sometimes other parts of your roster might suffer. But listen, man, you guys still give us problems. Other than, I think, 2019 where we beat you in Seattle. Mm-hmm. To me, we're still your guys' the word begins with the word letter B. But it just, to me, Russell irritates me because anytime the play's broken down, it's never really over. It's like Sandlot football. So it's like, you got to give the guy his props, whether, you don't like, whether you personally don't like him because it's just, he kicks your ass all the time. But yeah, I like, as far as he goes, yeah, you have to do what it takes. Thought it was a little weird, that little press conference that they had where he kind of popped in when the coach was talking. I want to know what your opinion is on that. That was really cringe, but I don't know, maybe you look at it differently.
No, I thought it was cringe. I thought it was cringe, but I also, I understood it because they were just saying like, hey, we don't care what you guys think. We're still good. It was cringy, but Pete's too old to care about stuff like that. And Russell Wilson, he's too rich.
Right. I mean, listen, man, as long as you guys got Russ, I mean, DK Metcalf is, man, that boy can play. And Tyler Lockett, like like you guys have some core pieces on offense. I mean, and if other guys step up around that, watch out. My whole thing is with the NFC West, it's hard to predict sometimes with these games because we could be having a really good season, or one of these other teams could have a really good season, but then you play your divisional game, and for some reason things just go crazy. Like when we've played in Arizona a lot of times, even if we're doing really good, like games come down to the end or weird things happen. With Seattle, to me, it's just always been Russ, and before Russ, it was the Legion of Boom. We've always had like some sort of Achilles heel when it comes to the Seahawks. So,
it's a beautiful
anything
thing.
else to share as far as for you guys? Do you have anything else to share as far as the roster draft?
Well, I think one of the things that people are pointing out, and I agree with people that point this out, our biggest weakness right now in Seattle is our cornerback department. We took Akella Witherspoon from you, but that's not going to help us much. And our cornerback, that might be our best corner. Like, seriously, like that is concerning. But I think the biggest way that we counter our weak cornerback room is by improving our pass rush. And you look at a guy that we took from your back door as well, who led your team in sacks last year, with Kerry Hyder, and we bring him into Seattle. We have Carlos Dunlap in Seattle. We have a guy in Darrell Taylor who never saw the field last year, but now he's going to come in and replace KJ Wright, potentially a strong side linebacker, and have a chance to pass rush in that sense, which is what he did back at Tennessee. So we have some pass rushers now, and of course Jamal Adams, who just broke the safety record for most sacks in a season with 9.5. So we have, between those four players, I think we had like 30 sacks, which is more than 10 NFL teams last year. And that's how we're going to fix our cornerback department, is by getting to your quarterback. So transition a little bit into some Niner talk. That's what's so scary about bringing in Trey Lance. I'm not afraid of Jimmy Garoppolo. I want you to keep
people aren't.
I want you to start him and keep him forever. Or, if not that, I want you to put in Trey Lance too soon and it just to not work out. I want him to be successful, just not in San Francisco. When I looked at your guys', I did a video a while back grading the NFC West teams draft, and I gave San Francisco an A+. And
wow, that's even better than my grade. I gave him like a B+ or a B-.
Yeah. No, it's because, look, Aaron Banks, that was, I confess that one might be a little bit early, but I like the pick. I like the position that you're going after. You talk about a Trey Lance. First of all, I would have gone Justin Fields, but Trey Lance has an even higher ceiling. Like, he's built like a tree. How are you going to bring him down? How are you supposed to tackle him? You say Russell Wilson's good, when the play breaks down. How about Trey Lance? He's going to be way harder to tackle. He's like Big Ben, but fit,
Right.
And so I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think that's a great pick. And if you want to go in on that, go ahead. Go ahead.
My biggest thing last year was the Niners needed to reboot and just completely cleanse that quarterback room. It was just a bad quarterback room. CJ Beathard, I don't know, pick of Kyle Shanahan's. He can't start for teams. Nick Mullins, you kind of root for him, but he's so physically not gifted. He's more of moxie than anything. And when you have guys like that long enough behind center in an NFL, the thing with Jim is an inconsistency. So I had no idea, nor did I have an trade up. But when they trade up, my first thought was it's got to be one of those two athletic quarterbacks, because I just didn't see Zach Wilson falling to them. But in the Bay Area, all the talk was Mac Jones. I believed it, and a lot of people believed it. And it turned out to be completely, opposite. Some people are saying that the Niners were pressured and changed their mind at the last minute because there's a lot of beat writers and Bay Area beat writers that have a lot of egg on their face right now. So they're trying to kind of like make themselves look better by saying, The Niners got, scared and decided to change it up. Whatever the reason is, we didn't draft Mac Jones. I'm not saying that I hope he is bad. I hope he's great. I didn't want him. I feel like the league's changing. I feel like the quarterback position is more. The game is going towards more of an athletic a dual threat quarterback that can break. When the play breaks down, when things are outside of structure, he's able to still keep the play going. Like Russ. The one thing that drives me crazy about Russell Wilson is even if his first couple reads aren't there, he's able to escape and hold the ball and hold the ball and hold the ball. And then, of course, someone with the speed of DK Metcalf is going to turn the corner on some, get behind some corner and it's over with. And that's what you want. You want a quarterback that can elongate plays outside of structure, who's not a statue like Jimmy, who's not fragile like Jimmy, and can use all the weapons that we have because the offense with Jimmy is so compressed and so horizontal. And I think with Trey, you're going to be able to see more of what Kyle Shanahan's been wanting to do for a long time. Hopefully, it's all about injuries and staying healthy and everything. But yeah, that's my biggest thing from the draft. And then free agency wise, we did a lot of re-signing our own guys, and I thought that was huge, especially for camaraderie. We lost Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator, but we have D'Amico Ryans, who's been on the staff for a while. So it's good to keep familiarity. If you notice the teams that are really good over long periods of time, say like the Patriots, they pretty much have ran the same systems and have had the intermixing of same assistants and stuff. People who are always familiar with the Patriots. So to me, those things are very important. I see you guys, I see the Cardinals, I see the Chiefs, and they all have quarterbacks that can make something happen with the play when it's breaking down. And I just feel that's the way the league's going. I don't know. What's your opinion?
I was praying on my lucky stars that you guys took Mac Jones, but I didn't believe a word of it because I wasn't going to get my hopes up. As a Seahawks fan, I have been devastated by the 49ers and by other divisional teams and just by football in general enough to not get my hopes up. And that's how I like to live, because if you have low expectations and you do good, you're surprised in a good way. But I don't want to be devastated when I'm like, oh, yeah, they're definitely taking Mac Jones. And then you guys take Trey Lance and I'm just devastated. No, I was expecting you guys to take Justin Fields. And I think Justin Fields would be the best day one. So that's what terrified me the most. And so I went into it. I didn't believe a word of the Mac Jones nonsense, because I don't think Mac Jones is even going to be successful on this level. He went to New England. I don't know if that means he's going to be successful. We'll see what happens with Mac Jones. But I remember Colin Cowherd talking about this, and I kind of agree with this. Whoever went to San Francisco is going to be the most successful because of the successful head coach, the offense, and just the team in general, the environment, and that it's so conducive for a successful young quarterback. So I think Trey Lance is going to work out great. It was my second of three options, but there is a very high ceiling, and I was terrified, did not believe any of that noise heading into the draft.
I can't lie and say that I wasn't starting to believe it just because that's all there was out there. But I remember watching, I'm trying to think of his name, Rich Eisen, about 3 days before the draft, saying he had some people close to him saying that he thinks it's going to be Trey Lance. And I remember the first time, that was probably 3 days before, where I started thinking, you know what? I don't think the Niners are going to draft Mac Jones. But until it happened, I wasn't gonna. You can't. It's one of those things where it's like a wait and see, kind of like when you watch a game. You could have all the hope in the world and love your team to death, but the game still has to happen, and it still things have to work themselves out. So with that whole situation, I was happy, but I was also happy a lot with their other picks in their draft, like Trey Sermon, the running back. Like you said, Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks is definitely a change of what they've usually had at guard. Their offensive line in the interior has been pretty beat up and pretty bad for the last couple of seasons, even the Super Bowl year. A lot of people are saying if Chris Jones was blocked by Aaron Banks and Alex Mack was in there, the Chiefs might not have won that game. I still think the Chiefs would have found a way to win that game just because of how explosive they were. But
that was a good game.
Yeah, it was good. I with that 7 minutes left to go, I let my mind go there. I was like, maybe we're gonna get our sixth, and then it just all fell apart. That was a hard one to get over. That was like getting dumped by a girl, man. Like at the altar, like right when she's about to say "I do," she's just like, "I'm out of here." That is exactly how I felt. But yeah, to me, I just see you guys, and I see Arizona, and I see all these teams and how they build their offenses and the type of quarterbacks that they have. And I was always like, man, if we could get one of those kind of guys who can kind of like elongate plays and allow guys to get open, Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, who I have really high expectations for. Debo, I'm kind of like on the fence because Debo's just, the problem with a lot of the Niners guys is they get nicked up all the time. So it's like, I want to get really super excited, but I'm always kind of like, there's a lot of trepidation and a lot of just like, I guess I'll wait and see. My nephew's the same way. He's 26, my nephew.
Mm-hmm.
He was born the year we won our last Super Bowl. He's only seen the 2 losses. He's never saw a victory in the Super Bowl like I have. And me and him are just we're kind of, I'm trying to, not pessimistic, but we're like realistic fans, and we just kind of let things play out. Everybody's like, hey, this guy's going to start and Trey Lance is going to take over and he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I'm like, easy, man. Like, we haven't even hit training camp yet. You don't know what's going to happen. People could get injured that were supposed to play this season. Just relax. I never let myself get into that mindset where I'm thinking, to November. I'm all about, let's just get to training camp. But yeah, like you guys, the way you guys build your team as far as the quarterback position goes, it was definitely something I've always admired, even though he's a pain in the ass when we play him. Russ, you got to give credit to greatness, Hall of Fame level players, whether you don't want to or not, you have to. And he was one of those guys. So to see maybe us maybe having something similar, maybe a little bit bigger, will be interesting. It'd be an interesting games in the future if they end up both going against each other. That would be awesome. That'd be fun. It would be, seeing like the young guy versus the grizzled vet. It'd be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a scary thought for Seahawks fans. Another scary thought for Seahawks fans, and this, you mentioned it, but this was a guy that heading into the draft, I had circled in red on the Seahawks draft board. And I was like, we need to go get this guy if he falls and becomes available, because we don't know what the health status is going to be for Chris Carson, and we don't know how much longer he's going to be able to produce with this physical style of running. So we need to go get a young, physical running back that can, be our tone setter offensively, like back when we had beast mode. And that's why I wanted Seattle to draft Trey Sermon. And so when you guys drafted Trey Sermon after already getting Trey Lance and Aaron Banks, and you end up getting Ambry Thomas and Jalen Moore, I was more frustrated and bitter about that pick. That's like that's like talking about women. That's like asking a girl out on a date and finding out she goes with the guy that you despise. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it felt
I've had
like.
that happen in real life. I completely understand that metaphor.
And that's what it felt like when you guys drafted Trey Sermon. So I hope you can find happiness with that pick. Your running back room is extremely crowded now, but that's the way you like it. So
we need it that way. People get nicked up all the time. Sorry.
I expect you guys to have, each of your guys will have a 2 or 3 week stretch where you guys will just dominate and go crazy. And whoever's picking them up in fantasy waiver wires that week is going to have a very successful week. It's just going to be really hard to guess which week is going to be who.
What do you think about the rest of the division? You think, because the way I look at it is I think the Cardinals are in last place, but that could all change in the season starts. I kind of feel like we could be second, and it's going to either be you or the Seattle or the Rams that takes first place. The only way I could see us taking first place is if we played, Jimmy Garoppolo plays really well. If Jimmy Garoppolo plays his normal, kind of average quarterback, where some weeks he's on like the game against the Saints, and then other weeks he's just, below average or average. And that 2019 season was a lot of things had to go our way. A lot of things had to fall right in that season, and they did. That doesn't happen all the time. We still had a lot of injuries that year, but Jimmy didn't get hurt, Bosa didn't get hurt. But the way I look at it is, I feel like the Cardinals are going to be last, but I could be wrong. I just say to say that because they have some aging veterans on their team, which concern me a little bit. You got you have
Watt.
Yeah, you have JJ Watt, and I'm trying to think of who else they signed. It's escaping my mind.
They added Malcolm Butler.
They have some older players on their team that they're depending on. So, and Kyler Murray was kind of, I can't say exposed, but like teams are starting to kind of catch on to what he was doing. The Niners were doing a lot of like blitzing from the slot corner last year, and that was giving them fits. So, the way I look at the West, it could be any of the four, but if I had to pick who would be 1 and 2, who would be first place, and us maybe between you and the Rams. And that's not me not being a real fan. I'm being realistic. Until we can show and prove that we can be consistently good for more than one season, I'm not going to pick us to just automatically win the division. I just don't believe in that. I've seen enough football in 41 years to realize that consistency matters even from season to season. So, and as long as you guys have Russ, you guys always have a chance. That's how I look at it.
See, that's interesting. I respect you for saying that. Look, around the division, this could be the first division in NFL history that sends 4 teams to the playoffs. And we have the expanded playoff now. So there's 7 teams that are going to make it. That means 3 non-division winners can make the playoffs, meaning we could legitimately have all 4 teams in the playoffs. And I could see it happening. What it would take for that to happen, obviously, we'd have to dominate outside of the division. But I expect we're on the same page. I think Arizona's 4, but I think they're a winning record at 4. That's what scares me. I think for the 49ers to win the division, I disagree with you. I think for the 49ers to win the division, Jimmy Garoppolo has to be bad because that's going to put Trey Lance in the starting lineup. And that's how you guys win in the long run. Because I look at your guys' schedule, and I think you guys start 4-0 at Detroit, at Philly versus Green Bay versus Seattle. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play in Green Bay. And even if he does, I don't know what happens there. I hope that he plays in that game and then finds a way to not be there when Seattle plays him. But I don't think Green Bay is going to play. I think you guys start 4-0. You guys have a stretch of 7 games from week 7 through week 13 where it is just it is a gauntlet schedule. You're talking about versus Indy, at Chicago, versus Arizona, versus the Rams, at Jacksonville, who people are sleeping on and I think is going to be a good team, versus Minnesota and at Seattle. And for that stretch, I have you guys going 4-3, but I have you guys going 4-3 because Jimmy Garoppolo is still your starting quarterback. Whereas if it was Trey Lance by then, and the reason that I have you guys having Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback is because he started 4-0. I have you losing week 5 at Arizona. And so if you had a tougher schedule early, it's more likely that you bench Jimmy Garoppolo, start Trey Lance. But if you start 4-1, go into your bye and come out of the bye with a 7-week stretch like that, I'm not starting Trey Lance at that point. I don't want to put him in and then have kind of like a Tua effect. And now it looks like he's not successful against this competition. So it's messing with his confidence. It's doing all these things. He's seeing demons, a Sam Darnold effect, So I don't want to put Trey Lance in for that stretch. So then that puts Trey Lance starting at week 14, week 15, with 5 weeks to go into the playoffs. So I think best case scenario for you guys, you lose like week 2, week 3, and week 4 or something like that. And then you put in Trey Lance, and he just goes on a stretch. Because I think against teams like Indy, Chicago, the Rams, having that mobile quarterback is going to be a big difference. And I think that's what benefits you guys the most. I'm terrified of Trey Lance as a Seahawks fan. I'm not afraid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Most people aren't afraid of Jimmy just because you kind of seen what he could do. Pretty much you've seen his ceiling. One of the Bay Area reporters that covers the 49ers, his name is Matt Mayoka. He's been one of the Niners' biggest reporters as far as like he's kind of like their inside guy, trusted, been there a long time. He said he's never seen an improvement from one offseason program to the next like he's seen with Trey Lance. from their first bit of OTAs to their second. He said that the improvement was like nothing he's ever seen. So it's hard to say when there's no pads on and helmets, or there's no pads on. I think they do wear helmets at some certain drills or whatever. But point being, that sounds like a good sign. It's just with me, I'm cynical. I just I want to see it in a game. Training camp is one thing. I want to see it against competition. Hey, if the kid beats out Jimmy, he should start. The way I look at it. Ideally, you want to have Jimmy start the year and have Trey sit, but you also need to get the kid in there, whether it's being up 21-3 in the third quarter and having him come in for 2 series and direct the offense down the field. Or I don't want to use him as like a Taysom Hill. I feel like that could be damaging. I don't want him running, a jet sweep into the end zone. I want to see that ball in the air. You know what I mean? I want to see what we got.
You don't want him on punt block,
No, like some teams just get ridiculous. So we just got to get him on the field any way possible. I don't think so. One of my viewers here, her name is Christy Marie. She asked, "Hey Squabo, why did the Seahawks waive Tamori and Terry?"
And see, that one hurts. That's a painful question. If you go on my channel, right after the draft, when we were doing the undrafted free agents, I was talking about how good of a player Tamori Terry can be and how he might have an impact, kind of like a Chris Matthews did a while back on our Super Bowl run, when we lost to the Patriots. But in that Super Bowl, I don't know if you remember, but Chris Matthews was phenomenal. And it started when he got the onside kick against Green Bay, and he started having a little bit of a run. But Seattle has a history with undrafted wide receivers. When you talk about Jermaine Kearse and Doug Baldwin, who are two of the staple wide receivers for our only championship in franchise history. And Tamori Terry, I thought, was going to be a great option. He had injury problems his last year, I think his junior year at FSU. And because of that, he didn't have the production. But the year before, he had over 1,000 yards. I think he had 7 touchdowns. And he big body, 6'4", I can't remember exactly how much he weighed, but he was one heck of a player when he was healthy. And I was really excited to see him in Seattle. To answer Christy's question, why did we waive Tamori Terry? Honestly, it's because of depth. And it's the fact that we have so many good wide receivers now. And we're not going to be able to keep all of them on this roster. We have some good tight ends as well. So you talk about DK Metcalf. You talk about Tyler Lockett. Freddie Swain is there. Dwayne Eskridge, who we took in the second round with our first pick, is a guy that we're going to look to use all over the field in different aspects. So we just don't, Kay Johnson, we don't have as many spots to fill in that position anymore because of how we have done elsewhere, including bringing in Gerald Everett at the tight end position, who should be getting more receptions here than maybe any more time in his career ever. So, we just have so many guys that we're throwing the ball to. We can't be the best situation for everyone. And part of it's not even that, it's not even just that we can't put them in a position where they're going to get a whole bunch of grabs. Part of it's like, this is a young player we believe is going to be successful. So, go somewhere where you're going to get an opportunity. You're not going to get very many grabs here. It's good for him too.
CG Ruthless Sports in the comments asked, do you think the Niners would pick him up? I personally, right now, I say why not to any. The 49ers have an issue that past number 2. They have a lot of question marks. They were, of course, in the conversation for Julio. I never thought it was going to happen, and it didn't. It's just that past those 2 wide receivers, there's just not a lot of there's no answers. So, what's your opinion on that question? Do they think the Niners pick up Terry?
And take another guy that I wanted on our team, Tamori Terry. So that would frustrate me for sure, especially if he starts doing good things. I'd be like, hey, remember when I said he was going to do good things here? Like that, it would hurt. It would hurt. So as a Seahawks fan, I would encourage you not to. But if I'm a 49er, if I'm friends with John Lynch, I'm telling him go for it.
Yeah, the Niners, they need to figure out what's going on at that position. It's nerve-wracking to me because uh, Debo's pretty injury prone just because of his style of play. And, Ayuk was kind of nicked up last year. Kittle, of course, he's been nicked up. I don't like a lot of people say the Rams are a little bit top heavy in talent. Like they got really good starters, but as you go down the depth chart, they're kind of, maybe not as strong. The Niners in some positions on their team, like defensive line, they're really deep. But then when you go to wide receiver after number 2, it's, a huge question marks. We have Juwan Jennings that we drafted, who was like, I think a 7th rounder. Austin Watkins Jr., I think was an undrafted free agent that we've picked up. We have Jalen Hurd, who he's been hurt his first 2 years. He got injured on the side field last year without even touching anybody. I think we still have, we have Richie James Jr. We have the guy that we signed off of San Diego last year. I'm trying to think of his name. The wide receiver who opted out last season. I think it's Kevin Benjamin, something Benjamin. I'm not sure. But anyways, there's not a lot of answers there. So, yeah, weaken your divisional rival by picking off one of their guys. That's how I look at it. As much as what you said about Okello has the skill. Thank you, Travis Benjamin, CG. Okello has skill. It's the mental part of the game where he lacks. Physicality-wise, body size, recovery speed, all that stuff. He has. The problem with him is he's like a mental midget. He has a couple bad plays and it puts him into a funk. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the ability to kind of like compartmentalize and move on. So who knows? Maybe Okello's career changes and we end up regretting it later, but sometimes people just need a change of scenery. Kyle Shanahan can be a tough guy to play for. He's pretty upfront, very blunt. So some guys can handle it. Some guys can't. So we'll see. There's still a lot of, there's a big gap of time before training camp starts. And I don't know how many players the Niners actually have, attending. I don't know if they have a lot of room right now to bring anybody else in. So what's, if you were going to do a record prediction this year for Seattle, what would be your realistic record expectation?
So I have a record expectation, and I did this before I knew the exact schedule, when I only knew the opponents, and then I did it again after I knew the exact schedule, and it changed. Originally, I had Seattle going 12-5. But then, based on how the schedule worked out, I say we go 13-4. And here's why. When you talk about 2 games that I thought we were going to lose before I saw the exact order of the schedule, were at Indy and at Green Bay. Now we're playing Indy in week 1 before Carson Wentz and Frank White have had that opportunity to reconnect, and before Carson Wentz has had that opportunity to connect with this roster and get on the same page. You're bringing in a new quarterback, and it's week 1. So if ever there was going to be an advantage for a consistent quarterback and head coach combination that have been there and done that before, it's in week 1. And every week that advantage goes away, and those teams in new locations start to have more success. So week 1, I think, makes that a W for Seattle. And then we play Green Bay in week 10, let alone if they don't have Aaron Rodgers. But we get them after a bye. And we've lost so many times at Green. I can't remember the last win we had at Green Bay. And because of that, it's been so long, and we've struggled against Green Bay just in general. So the fact that we get them after a bye, we're going to be tuned in. We're going to be locked in, focused on these guys. And so because of that, I say that turns into a dub. The one loss, because I said it was 12-5, it became 13-4. So that means 2 new wins and 1 new loss. The new loss that I have is when we start to head down towards the last stretch of our season. Where exactly? I have the schedule. Here it is. It's at Houston, at the LA Rams, versus Chicago, versus Detroit, at Arizona is how we end our schedule. And after we win at the Los Angeles Rams, according to my predictions, on December 19th, we look at the rest of our schedule, and every single year Seattle does this. We look down the stretch and we're like, oh, That's not that bad. And then we end up losing some games that we're supposed to win and dropping down in the playoffs. We could have been the 1 seed that one year when you guys were the 1 seed and went to the Super Bowl in 2019.
Yep.
And you
One
guys,
yard away. Unbelievable.
just frustrated. First, we lost to the Cardinals at home, and then we lost to you guys at home. So it was this insult to injury. But looking down the stretch of the season, we finally get over that hump. The Rams are in our heads, and we beat the Rams in Los Angeles after they beat us early on in the season. So week 16 versus Chicago, I have us losing that game. Because we just got over the hump. We're looking towards the rest of our schedule, and it's versus Chicago, versus Detroit, and at Arizona. That is not a daunting schedule. Arizona is the last game, but and they're going to be a winning team. They're going to be a good team, but they're the worst team in our division, at least according to us right now. So Detroit's one of the worst teams in the league, and versus Chicago. So I think we overlook them. I think Justin Fields gets the best of us, and that's the one loss that I think changes. So Seattle's final record, now that I know the schedule, 13-4. Go the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Niners are going to finish somewhere around 12-5, 13-4, kind of like you guys. I just feel like there's going to be a stretch during the season where our fatigue and our, having such an early buys might catch up with us. It just always happens that way. The Niners have, I think, a week 6 bye. I don't know if the whole West has it, but and it's also going to be predicated on Jimmy Garoppolo and how good or how poorly he plays. If Jimmy plays well and the running game plays well and the pass rush is back like 2019, then the Niners could reel off, 6-8 wins in a row. But a lot of things have to go right for the Niners to be as good as they were in 2019, and it's not a guarantee. One of my viewers here, Christy Marie, asked me, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Niners lost Mike LaFleur and Robert Saleh, and she asked what the impact would be. I think there'll definitely be an impact early on. I wasn't a big Robert Saleh fan to begin with, and he really changed my mind last year with how he was able to adjust. Yeah, I thought he was a product of all the good players in 2019. And he started kind of poorly early on. And then when Sherman went out and the Niners were able to go to more man-to-man, he definitely changed my mind how he was able to take a defense that had so many missing players and still finish in the top 10. As far as LaFleur, I feel like Shanahan has more control of this offense than you guys realize. And while it's good to have guys like LaFleur there or Mike McDaniels, I think in the end, Kyle is the end-all, be-all. He is the last straw when it comes to what plays are going to be called. So more or less, these guys are more sounding boards than anything, these offensive assistants. Whereas on the defense, I think D'Amico might struggle a little bit at first, but you never know. He could find his groove. I know he wants the Niners to blitz more and be a little bit more aggressive. The Niners have been strictly cover 3, rush 4, drop, however many you need to drop. And it looks like the Niners might be changing it up a little bit, which is, for me, is great. I mean, blitzing is more risky, but it also is, I like aggressive defenses that, want to put quarterbacks on their butt, especially when you go against guys like Russ or guys like Kyler Murray, who can escape everything. You got to send as many guys after them as you possibly get. Problem is that they make all those guys miss, then you're in trouble. So, I don't think there'll be a huge drop off, but there might be some early on hiccups.
Go ahead. With Mike LaFleur, we're on the same page. Like, I don't think that's going to cost you guys much offensively, but Robert Saleh defensively, I think his energy is what's going to be missed. It's the fact that, we're seeing games where you guys don't have your starting quarterback. You're at Los Angeles, and Robert Saleh's over there getting everyone hyped for a 4th down stop and just screaming, turning red, going berserk on the sideline. That's a real thing. That is going to be missed. I know we missed it in Seattle when Robert Saleh went to you guys. So I think Robert Saleh is going to impact your defense quite a bit, but not just Robert Saleh. It's also, you guys lost some pieces defensively now. Like, I know you gained Nick Bosa coming back, but you lost Hyder, you lost Solomon Thomas, you lost Witherspoon. So you're down a couple of pieces on the defensive side. Plus you're down Robert Saleh. I think you're looking at a slight defensive decline.
Yeah, and a lot of it too, to me, and I think you might be right, at least early on.
Mhm.
Um, we got Samson Ekubom from the Rams to kind of
That's
be
big.
our security blanket for D Ford. The Niners saying they're hoping D Ford. I really don't have any confidence in the guy, honestly. He's really good when he's on the field. He's just never on the field. He's always hurt. Probably one of the worst trades the 49ers have made in the Lynn Shanahan era, for sure.
Mm.
They got duped on that one. Um, uh, and Bosa's, he's coming off an injury, so you're going to want to give him a snap count too. You know what I mean? So I feel in those ways the defense might struggle a little bit just because, we might have a really good rotation as far as interior defensive linemen. We have a pretty good depth at that position, but speed rushers and guys who can get after the quarterback, it's pretty much Bosa, Arden Key, uh, D Ford, and Samson Ekubom. It's kind of like our, what we got right now. So to me, it goes down. There'll be a definite impact possibly early just because you said how emotional he is and how he gets his guys wanting to play for him. But just the inexperience of D'Amico Ryan might be something that just might affect him. And then, having all these players coming off of injury that you have to babysit and nurse, I think that might have an effect on it too. CG Ruthless Sports made a good point. He said that he thinks D'Amico Ryan's could make our defense better just because he played and that he's smart. I think players playing sometimes definitely does have an effect on coaching when they become a coach. I feel like players take better to guys that have actually experienced it.
Yeah.
Personally, I've always seen that as a plus if a guy can be a player that turned coach. Like I think Richard Sherman one of these days is going to be a really damn good defensive back coach. He's so knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel for him because his body is broken down and he's just not. He was never fast, but lower leg injuries are never good for a guy that already had not top end speed, but mentally his preparation and his just instincts on the field are second to none. I mean, I hated him when he was in Seattle, but I respected his game. I totally agree with him about Michael Crabtree. I wasn't mad at that press when he got all pissed off at him at the end of the NFC Championship. I totally agreed. I thought Crabtree was garbage. But, I think there'll be a slight decline maybe on defense. Offensively, I really don't see it. To me, it all depends on if Kyle has, his toys to play with. And the Niners are able to run the ball and pass the ball. And who knows, maybe we see a little bit of Trey Lance. I think the Niners could be pretty explosive. But defensively, I could see a little bit of a decline, mixing coaching change plus having to babysit snaps on certain players because of, being injury prone. So what are your you have any other points or expectations with the Seahawks this year as far as certain players or certain guys to look out for that I'm not familiar with?
I think the biggest difference that you're going to see with Seattle, in Seattle last year, we started off really strong offensively. Then we struggled and became really strong defensively. I think the biggest difference you're going to see in Seattle this year is that offensively, we're going to have a short passing game, which is something that we didn't have last year. We were throwing it deep,
usually just
or a run.
That's what DK Metcalf said that last year. He said that teams are figuring you guys out.
And he's right. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why Brian Schottenheimer's now in Jacksonville. And that's also partially why I wanted Mike McDaniels to be our new offensive coordinator. But when that didn't work out.
Ooh, that would have been a betrayal, man.
I wanted it. Oh, but Shane Waldron wasn't. Yeah, no, bringing in, I wanted your guys' guy, but instead we got the Rams guy. It's fine. But we're going to see more short passes this year. Offensively, defensively, the biggest difference, our pass rush is going to come screaming towards the quarterback. We're going to have the best pass rush in the NFC West, and that's going to be the difference.
That's a big statement. Because I feel like if the Niners, if Bosa is healthy and D Ford is healthy, I think the Niners could give you guys a run for their money. But that's the question mark with the 49ers all the time is health. if you listen to any 49ers YouTuber out there, not just me, uh, the question and the preface that's always on top of everything we all say is if we're healthy. That it's sad
Mhm.
that it's been such an Achilles heel with this organization. And this was before Shanahan and Lynch took over, but since they've taken over, they've just had so many injury problems. They switched strength and conditioning staffs. It's done nothing. Um, I know Kittle's trying to do some new stuff with balance beams and stuff, and trying
Yeah.
to strengthen his feet muscles and his bones and everything. Hey man, whatever it takes. But I think we could give you guys a run for your money in the pass rush department.
You
How
can.
can I be certain if guys are always missing games and getting hurt on side fields or hurting their back when nobody like touched them? Like it's so frustrating with me as a 49er fan the last couple of years is I have all these aspirations, but then I'm like, oh yeah, they're probably going to get hurt. And then they do. And it's just like, so yeah, I'll give you guys that one. I think the Cardinals might have a decent pass rush too. Um,
I agree.
and then and then you look at the Rams. As long as they have Aaron Donald, man, that he to me he's a Hall of Fame player. He's just not in the Hall of Fame yet. That's how
Yeah.
damn good he is. Um, Alden. Somebody brought up Alden Smith. Where is he playing right now? I wouldn't
He's in
touch him though.
he's in Seattle.
Oh, they did sign him. Did he have some legal issues in the offseason?
This offseason? I don't know.
Yeah,
He might have.
because
I just know
I didn't know if he. Oh, go ahead.
he's low on our depth chart. Like we have other guys. And then Robert Nikomdici. I think and you brought up the Cardinals pass rush. I think the Cardinals most likely are going to have the second best pass rush, and it's going to be really close with the 49ers. But my problem with the Cardinals is that, first of all, J.J. Watt has not had the performance the last couple of years. It's the same thing, same questions about the Cardinals as there are about the 49ers. Is J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, are they going to stay healthy? But also, in bringing in all these offseason additions, they had to lose Hassan Reddick, who had 12 and a half sacks for them last year. That's as many as Aaron Donald had the year before in a down year. You know, like that's a lot of sacks. 12 and a half is a lot of sacks. And that's gone now for them. So they're really banking on J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones staying healthy. And if either one of those doesn't happen, they're in some trouble.
We have some. I have a CG Ruthless Sports is commenting. He says that I guess the warrant for his arrest is in the state of Louisiana. I did hear about something early in the offseason.
Okay.
Which is sad because I was really rooting for him. You know, people mental health issues and stuff. I have issues with anxiety and depression, so I always pull for people that who struggle with things and have kind of made it through the other side. And but he also has substance abuse on top of that. So he's gotten his chances. Eventually, people are going to run out of chances. I mean, you got to make the best of what you got. But I'm not crapping on the guy. He's definitely still. The Niners have had a chance to sign him as like a rotational piece. I would have been totally fine with it. Christy Marie says here, Seattle's D line can be really strong. Hopefully, she said Alden Smith can play, and Robert. I can't even say this guy's name. Nikomdici. I don't know. Is an underrated signing. This lady knows her stuff. I'm liking this. What can you tell me about the latter part of that comment about Robert Nikomdici?
Yeah, no, he was a top draft pick, but I think he opted out last year. And he's one of those like a Deion Jordan, like he has so much potential. He might show up for a couple of plays. We needed help on our defensive interior, so that's going to be helpful for us because we lost Jaron Reed, went to Kansas City. But the fact that we got another guy on our defensive line, a veteran who's had high potential and has a somewhat high ceiling, I think it helps us. I just don't think he's a guy that you hear his name called every week.
Do you want to let everybody know, Ken, where they can find you? And as far as like social media, YouTube, any other avenues, just so, I'm definitely follow all the people that I've interviewed from different teams, even though you guys are, you follow Seattle. I have Peo that does the Rams, and I have a guy tonight who does the Cardinals. I like to follow other people because I want to see how other people go about doing their thing with their teams. I respect it. So if you want to give anybody any information about yourself.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to keep in touch with you, and I definitely want to try and do something like this on my channel down the road and stay in touch because you're definitely one of the more chill 49er fans, and that's a compliment. I was at the Thanksgiving game on the road at your place, and after that game, just the amount of Niner hate that I got from the community. I was a kid back then, and it was scary. It was scary. So I have an appreciation for, just fans in general when we can have a nice conversation like this. So thank you. You can find me at Squabosays, SQUAB. It's right there. You can find me at Squabosays on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and on YouTube. On YouTube, I'm going to get into some more streams for the NBA Finals games. I've been doing some watch parties throughout the playoffs. My Lakers got eliminated, but I'm fine. And on TikTok, I've been doing a whole lot of stuff on TikTok, so definitely check me out.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if that was you or not, so now that I know, I'm going to watch them all.
You're good. Yeah, no, it's
great.
I'll be hooping a little bit. I'll be putting up shots. It's all fun and games, so definitely go check me out at Squabosays.
CG Ruthless Sports, I know, is a Lakers fan, too. He also asked or said that if you'd be welcomed on his stream, too. He's a 49ers YouTuber as well and a Lakers fan. So you might disagree on the football side of it, but in basketball, you guys are, brethren. I've had this one. He's a YouTuber his name is Jason Aponte. I've had him on my channel before. He was one of the interviews I did. He's a 49er content creator, and he's a Yankees / Niners fan like I am. Although I don't really follow baseball too much anymore. But it was kind of interesting to we and him had so much in common. It was nice because usually when I have people on my channel, it's usually we like the Niners, but we're completely different on everything else. So it was kind of cool. I would definitely want to do something down the road. Maybe a crossover stream with maybe Peo Time and the young man that I'm going to interview tonight, or another Cardinals fan, where we could do similar to what we did today, but just have maybe more of a roundtable discussion when we have more of an idea what's going on in training camp. We could do it closer to the season. We could do it mid-season, whatever works for you. I know you're a student, and I work a normal job. So yeah, I would love to do more collaborating down the line. I don't want this to be a one-off. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm 100% down. I love Peo. I got love for you. Let's do it.
Thank you. Yeah, Peo's a good guy. He's probably one of the most positive football fans I've ever met in my entire life.
Literally.
I was in stream with him, and I felt really man, I got to up my positivity when I'm talking because he's so happy. So
right, I'm just pooping on his team, and he's just thank you very much.
Yeah, he's he's one of those people that I can't even be angry at, even if he was trashing the Niners. I'd be like, you're smiling the whole time doing it, so I can't be mad at you. I appreciate you coming on. I can't say it was directionless, but we were just kind of spitballing here, talking. A lot of times I have a lot more topics and a lot more focused points, but right now during the off season, there's not really much to talk about. So it was more or less talking draft, talking free agency and stuff like that. And I definitely would like to do this again, if you don't mind.
Most definitely. Come in.
All right, brother. Stay safe, stay healthy, and like I say to people on my videos, I'll see you on the flip side, brother. Take care.
Always a pleasure. Go Hawks.